The great hall of the Galactic Peace Summit was filled with light, sound, and pride. Tall alien banners floated in the air, showing the symbols of many worlds. Some had stars, others had strange beasts, and some only used color and shape. Hundreds of races from across the galaxy stood or sat around the long round table made of shimmering crystal. Each species had their own chair, designed for their body shape. The room buzzed with excitement, translators humming softly in the background. Today was a special day. This was the 200th Peace Summit, and almost every known race had sent leaders, guards, and ships. There were warriors, scientists, kings, queens, diplomats, and merchants. Every voice added to the noise, every handshake added to the smiles. But one chair near the far side of the table was still empty. It had always been empty. A simple gray chair, human-sized, untouched by time. A tall, blue-skinned ambassador from the Zarathi Empire chuckled as he passed by it. "Still no humans," he said to no one in particular. Another alien, shaped like a floating ball of feathers, made a soft chiming sound that meant laughter. "Why would they come? They think they're better than us. Earth always refuses to join our talks." The nearby diplomats nodded. Some smiled. Others rolled their eyes. "Let them stay away," a six-eyed reptilian said. "They act like ghosts, always watching, never speaking." Only one alien did not laugh. His name was Leary, a young delegate from the small planet Virine. Leary was small and looked weak, but he was sharp and curious. He stood beside the Earth chair, looking at it with quiet thought. His teacher had once told him, "Fear those who remain silent. They are either foolish or dangerous." Leary had been to 5 summits before. Earth had never shown up. Yet their name remained on the list. Their flag, simple blue and green, still stood behind the empty chair. The humans never asked for it to be removed. He turned to an older diplomat. "Why is Earth still invited if they never come?" The elder shrugged. "Long ago they were part of this council. Then something changed. No one knows why. They stopped coming, but we keep the seat out of respect. Or maybe out of fear." "Fear?" Leary asked, surprised. The older alien gave a small smile. "You're young. You weren't alive when the Jural conflict happened." "I've read about it," Leary said. "A pirate empire rose near the edges of known space. It destroyed 5 star systems. Yes, many joined forces to stop it. But before we could act, Earth moved alone. Their ships entered Jural space. Days later, all Jural ships vanished. The Empire fell overnight. No one knows how." Leary's eyes widened. "They didn't speak to the council?" "No," the elder said. "They just acted, and after that they stopped attending our meetings." "But why?" Leary whispered. The elder didn't answer. He simply turned and walked away. Later that day, speeches began. One by one, the leaders stood and spoke of peace, trade, and unity. Most gave long, boring talks. Some tried to sound wise, others just wanted attention. Leary sat quietly, pretending to listen, but his eyes kept moving toward the empty chair. He opened his tablet and began searching. Old files, records, mentions of Earth. Most were public, simple reports, alliance, data, old peace messages. But some were strange. Ships disappearing, fleets going silent near Earth sector, complaints filed and then closed without reason, red stamps. Confidential. Level 5 security. Do not share. Leary's fingers moved faster. Then he found something that made his heart beat faster. A file from 70 years ago. A patrol ship named Tarsus 9 had gone missing near Earth's border. The last message was only one word. Run. Then static. The ship was never found. He looked around the summit. No one else seemed to care. They were too busy clapping, drinking, and shaking hands. Aliens laughed, argued, and planned. All while the Earth chair sat silently among them. Why were humans always absent? Was it pride, anger, or something else? Leary leaned closer to the table. He whispered to himself, What are you hiding, Earth? At that moment, a strange sound clicked in his ear. It was from his private earpiece used only by his own species. A voice, mechanical, calm. You are looking in the wrong place, Leary of Virene. He froze. The signal wasn't from his ship. It was from somewhere else, something close. Too close. Who is this? He whispered, heart pounding. The voice did not answer. Just static. Then silence. Leary quickly checked the signal's source, but it was gone. Erased. He looked again, at Earth's empty chair. Maybe Earth wasn't absent, maybe they were watching. Leary could not sleep. The voice he heard in his earpiece kept echoing in his mind. You are looking in the wrong place, Leary of Virene. Who said that? How did they know his name? And why were they watching? He sat alone in his small guest room on the summit station. The windows showed deep space, stars moving slowly in the distance. He stared at them, lost in thought. Leary opened his tablet again. He began digging deeper. He knew it was risky. His people had strict rules about hacking other files. But he had a feeling this was important. Something about Earth didn't make sense. He bypassed the first 2 levels of security. Then the third. He reached an old archive with the label, Black Zones, Level X, Do Not Access. He hesitated. Then he tapped it. The screen flashed once, then opened. Leary began reading. Each file told a dark story. Entire patrols vanished. Trade routes cut off by silence. One report said, entered Sector 14E, detected movement. No life signs. One word from the crew. Humans. Then, nothing. Another report. Fleet Z3 entered Earth's outer zones without permission. 300 ships. None returned. No signals, no wreckage. Final log. They see us. Leary's hands shook. This was not normal war. This was something else. Something planned. Cold. Quiet. The reports all had red marks. Black Zone. Do not investigate. Human controlled. He leaned back. Why isn't the Council doing anything? He whispered. But he already knew the answer. Fear. No one wanted to face Earth. Not openly. It was easier to pretend Earth was just distant, cold, uninterested. He checked the data logs for who had last viewed these files. Only a few names. One stood out, General Norca of the Bractil Command, a powerful leader in the Council's military group. Leary tapped to open the General's private report. It was short. Do not provoke. Do not enter black zones. Do not contact humans. Their silence is not weakness. It is warning. Suddenly, Leary's tablet shut off. The screen went black. He jumped in his seat. Someone was blocking him. A soft knock came from the door. Leary froze. He walked to the door and opened it slowly. No one was there. Just an envelope, lying on the floor. He picked it up. Inside was a thin data chip. No name, no message. He slipped it into his backup tablet. The screen came alive. A video began playing. A human soldier appeared. She wore dark armor with no symbols. Her eyes were sharp, calm. She looked directly at the screen. To those who seek us, she said, know this. Earth is not absent. Earth is watching. We act when silence fails. We do not ask. We do not warn. If we are not at the table, it means we are already in the shadows. The video ended. Leary sat frozen. He finally understood. The humans didn't ignore the summit. They watched it from a distance. Quiet. Hidden. Every time a war started near them, they ended it. Fast and without mercy. They didn't join the talks because they didn't believe in talk. They believed in results. Suddenly, Leary's screen showed a new message, a simple sentence. Do not search again, Leary. This is your only warning. He stared at the words. Then, outside his window, something caught his eye. A ship. Dark. Still. Silent. It floated just beyond the edge of the summit station. It had no lights, no markings. Not even the Council's best scanners could detect something like that. But Leary saw it. Just for a second. Then it vanished. He whispered, "Earth is here." He ran out of his room and into the hallway. He had to tell someone. But when he reached the main chamber, the summit was still going. Aliens were drinking, laughing, speaking in proud voices. He looked at the empty chair again. No one else cared. No one else saw. Only him. He sat down at the far edge of the room. His heart was heavy. The Council believed humans were just rude or too proud to join, but now he knew the truth. They were watching everything, every word, every decision. And if anyone made the wrong move, Earth would answer. Not with words, but with silence. And power. Leary looked around. The others had no idea. Not yet. But someday they would learn. Just like he did. And by then it might be too late. Leary returned to his room, but he could not think straight. The video of the human soldier kept playing in his mind. Her voice was strong, cold, and full of quiet power. If we are not at the table, it means we are already in the shadows. He had discovered something big, too big for one young ambassador to carry. But if he told others, would they believe him, or would they erase him the same way those files were erased? He sat down and opened a secure channel to his homeworld, Virene. But the signal was blocked. A message appeared. Outbound communication locked for security reasons. Someone didn't want him to speak, and someone was watching. Leary whispered to himself, "I need proof. Something no one can ignore." He dug through his tablet again. His fingers moved fast, checking secret logs, old ship reports, and Council security data. After an hour, he found a code, something strange hidden in the summit's internal system. Protocol 9HR. It was not part of normal Council operations. It was marked Human Contact, Emergency Only. Inside there was only one file. Recording. He tapped it. The screen flickered. A quiet voice began to speak. Not human. It was a Zalari captain. The Zalari were a proud, advanced race known for their strong fleets. The captain sounded scared. "We entered Sector 7. We ignored the warnings. We thought humans were weak. We thought their silence meant fear. We were wrong." Then a short pause. "Their ships. They didn't speak. They didn't send a signal. They just appeared. Hundreds. Maybe thousands, and then..." The sound cut off, static followed, then silence. Leary sat frozen. The file was real. Earth had something the galaxy didn't understand, not just weapons, but strategy, patience, total control. They waited in silence until the moment they had to act. And when they did, no one survived. He copied the file to a secret chip. He would keep it hidden in case something happened to him. That night, Leary took a walk across the summit station. The halls were quiet. Most of the delegates had gone to sleep or were celebrating peace deals. But Leary had a different goal. He walked toward the lower decks, where the station's backup servers were kept. No one ever went there, except engineers. He found a dark corner, opened a panel, and plugged in his chip. "I need more answers," he whispered. "Show me everything." The system was old but not protected like the main files. He searched for hidden records, something no one wanted to see. And then, he found it. A file called Human Engagement. Protocol locked with 5 security layers. He hacked each one slowly and carefully. Finally, it opened. Inside were reports from past centuries, wars, attacks, and secret missions. One stood out. Operation Quiet Storm. Date, unknown. Location, unknown leader, unknown status, completed result. Target empire no longer exists. He opened the details. It was about an alien empire called the Drixari. Once strong, cruel. They ruled 10 systems and started war after war. The Council tried to talk with them. Nothing worked. Then Earth acted, without warning. The humans didn't send ships. They sent probes. Quiet, invisible. They mapped every Drexari base, every ship, every leader. Then in one night, everything vanished. No explosions, no wreckage, just gone. The Drexari Empire was erased. The last sentence in the file: peace achieved. No need for talks. Leary leaned back in shock. Humans didn't follow normal rules. They didn't wait. They didn't ask. They made their own peace, through silence, shadows, and total control. Suddenly, lights flashed in the hallway. Footsteps. He unplugged the chip and hid it. Then the door opened. 2 guards stepped in, council security. But their armor was strange. Black. No symbol. One of them said, "You've been accessing forbidden files." Leary stayed calm. "I'm an ambassador. I have permission." The taller guard stepped forward. "Not for this. Come with us." Leary didn't move. He stared at them. "Who are you really?" The guards didn't answer, but behind them someone else walked in. A human. He wore a dark suit. No rank, no ID. Just eyes that saw everything. "Leary of Vereen," the human said. "You've seen too much." Leary stood still, heart pounding. "You don't show up at summits, but you're here now." The human gave a small smile. "We're always here." "Why?" Leary asked. "Why all this silence? Why not talk like the others?" The human stepped closer. His voice was low and calm. "Because talk doesn't stop war. Fear does." Leary whispered, "You control peace through fear?" "No," the human said. "We keep peace by making sure no one dares to break it." Leary looked into his eyes. "What happens to me now?" The human stared for a moment. Then he turned. "Nothing. Not yet. But stop digging. This is your final warning." Then he walked out. The guards followed. Leary stood alone. His hands shook, but his mind was clear. He now knew the truth. Earth's power wasn't just military. It was control. And they didn't care about being seen, because by the time anyone noticed them, it was always too late. Leary didn't leave his room the next day. He sat on the floor, back against the wall, chip hidden in his boot, tablet off. His heart still beat fast. Every small sound made him flinch. The face of the human officer kept flashing in his mind. Calm, cold, and sure of every word. "We're always here," he whispered. "Then how many are here now?" The summit station was still busy. Aliens from across the galaxy laughed, shouted, and traded stories. Some were making deals for weapons. Others were signing peace documents. No one seemed to know how close they were to something terrifying. Leary tried to stay calm. He had seen too much. Earth's power didn't just come from ships or soldiers. It came from silence, from mystery, from fear. They didn't need to show strength. They only needed others to wonder what would happen if they acted, and that was enough. He opened his tablet and checked the file again. The one about Operation Quiet Storm. The Drexari Empire had vanished in one night. No one ever confirmed it was Earth, but Leary had no doubts now. And then he saw something new. A message buried deep in the code. It looked like nothing at first, just strange numbers. But then it moved. Letters formed slowly on the screen as if someone was typing them live. "We warned you once. You didn't stop." Leary's hands went cold. "You want to know what we do? Then see it for yourself." Then new coordinates appeared on the screen. A location far from the summit station. A dead system marked as abandoned. Nothing lived there. No suns, no planets, just cold dust. Leary hesitated. This could be a trap, but it could also be proof. He stared at the coordinates for a long time. Then, slowly, he stood up. 2 hours later, he was inside a small private ship. It was borrowed under his diplomatic rights. He didn't tell anyone, didn't file a travel request. He left in silence, just like the humans. The journey took several hours. When the ship dropped out of warp, Leary gasped. He had expected nothing, just dark space. Instead, he saw wreckage. Thousands of broken ships floated in silence, some old, some new, all destroyed. No light, no signals, just floating steel and dead machines. His ship scanned the area. The ships came from different species, Zalari, Bractil, even some council scouts. They weren't from the same war. These ships had vanished over centuries, and now he knew where they went. This was Earth's warning ground, a graveyard. Suddenly, his ship's systems blinked. A signal. He turned to the screen. Another message appeared. This is what happens when silence is not respected. Then a video started. Old footage. Blurry. A camera shaking inside a ship. Aliens shouting. Lights flashing. A massive shadow moving through space. Silent. No engine sound. Just shadows swallowing everything. The crew screamed. Then static. Another video. A captain talking into the camera. We thought we could test Earth. We sent scouts. They never returned. We sent a fleet. It disappeared. Now we wait. If anyone finds this, do not follow. Do not seek Earth. Do not wake them. The video ended. Leary stared at the screen. He now understood what Earth had built. Not just fear. Not just weapons. They had built silence into a weapon. A warning that didn't need to be spoken, a peace that was kept not through promises, but through memory. Memory of what happened to those who crossed the line. He set the ship to return to the summit station, but just before he jumped back into warp, his scanners picked up something behind him. A ship. No lights. No signal. Just there. Leary turned slowly toward the window. The dark human ship floated in the distance. He couldn't see its weapons. He couldn't even see its engines. But it was watching, waiting. Then, his comms activated. A human voice spoke. Now you've seen it, that's enough. Leary said nothing. You may return, but understand this. We don't hide because we're weak. We hide because we've already won. The message ended. Leary sat in silence for the entire trip back. When he arrived at the summit, the celebration was still going. Aliens laughed and toasted to peace. The chair for Earth was still empty, but Leary didn't see it the same way anymore. Now, it wasn't an empty chair, it was a warning. He walked back into the grand hall and sat at the far edge, far from the noise. He looked at each smiling delegate and whispered to himself, "They think Earth is quiet, but Earth is watching, always watching." No one else noticed the dark ship outside. No one saw the shadow that passed by the station and vanished again. Only Leary saw it, and now he knew. Earth's silence was not weakness. It was a choice. And if the galaxy ever made the mistake of forcing Earth to speak, they would hear the last words too late. The summit entered its final week. Leaders from across the stars were signing the last peace deals, shaking hands, posing for hollows, smiles everywhere, except one face. Leary sat alone in the shadows near the wall. He didn't smile. He didn't clap. He watched. The memory of the silent graveyard still burned in his mind. Wrecked fleets, ghost ships, and the dark human vessel watching from the shadows. And now, they were closer. Each night he scanned space around the station. Nothing on radar, nothing on official records, but he always felt them. Like something just beyond the edge of vision. Quiet, cold, patient. He knew they were there. Leary hadn't told anyone. Who would believe him? No one wanted to hear that Earth had created fear strong enough to shape the entire galaxy without lifting a weapon at a summit. But someone else had noticed. On the fifth night, a message appeared on Leary's tablet. No name. Just coordinates and one line. You are not the only one who sees the empty chair. Leary looked around. The hallway was empty. Was this another trick? Or someone trying to warn him? He made a choice. He followed the message. The location led him deep into the summit's lower levels, maintenance tunnels where diplomats never went. Pipes hissed. The lights flickered. He walked slowly. Then he saw someone waiting. An older alien, short with silver markings on his skin. A Zalari. Leary stopped. Who are you? The Zalari gave a slow nod. My name is Karn. I once commanded ships. Now, I just observe. You sent the message? Leary asked. Karn nodded. Yes. I saw you watching the humans. I saw the fear in your eyes. I felt it too. Leary stepped closer. Then you know they're here, around us. Karn looked tired. They're always here. I've seen things, young one. Long ago, I led a fleet near the border of Earth's space, just a drill, just training. He paused. We entered a quiet zone, no planets, no ships, but we knew. They were watching. I felt it. My crew felt it. Then one of our scouts vanished. No sound, no trace. Just gone. Leary whispered, Did you report it? Karn shook his head. No. My second officer begged me not to. He said Earth doesn't like noise, doesn't like being followed. I turned back. That night I got a message, one line. He looked into Leary's eyes. You did well to leave. Leary sat down beside him. So why does the Council keep pretending Earth doesn't matter? He asked. Karn smiled sadly. Because pretending is easier. Talking about peace is easy when you don't think about who's really keeping it. Leary clenched his fists. They should know. Everyone should. Karn said nothing for a long moment. Then he handed Leary a small metal cube. What's this? Leary asked. Truth, Karn replied. I recorded everything, all the signs, all the warnings. The Council refused to listen, so I kept quiet. But now, maybe it's time. Leary held the cube tightly. If I bring this to the Council, they will deny it, Karn said quickly. Or worse, they will come for you. The humans let us live in peace only if we don't push. Leary stood up slowly. But what happens when someone does push? Karn looked at him darkly. Then Earth stops being silent. The next day, during the final summit speech, Leary sat with the cube in his pocket. Leaders clapped as the Grand Chancellor of the Council raised his arms. Today we mark 100 years of peace among the stars. And even those who do not join us at this table, he glanced at Earth's empty chair, share this peace. Polite laughter followed. Leary stood. Permission to speak, he said loudly. The room quieted. The Grand Chancellor looked surprised. Ambassador Leary, this is a closing ceremony. I know, Leary said, stepping forward. But I have something to say. Something important. He walked to the front, past rows of powerful leaders, and turned to face the room. You think Earth is missing. You think they're ignoring us. But that's not true. Some murmurs began. They are not absent. They are watching. Every word we say, every move we make. The Chancellor raised his hand. That's enough, Ambassador. No, Leary said firmly. You all laugh at the empty chair. But that chair is not empty, it's a message, and you've all ignored it for too long. He held up the cube. This holds reports, data, and warnings. Earth has silenced empires, ended wars before they began. You call it peace, but it's fear. And they didn't ask for power. They took it, without saying a word. Gasps filled the room. Some stood. Others shook their heads. Leary's voice dropped. If we keep pretending Earth is just quiet, one day we'll speak the wrong word, make the wrong deal, and then... The room's lights flickered. Everyone froze. The massive window behind, the summit stage dimmed as if something was passing in front of the stars. Then for a brief moment a dark shape moved across the sky. Silent, massive, invisible to most sensors. The room fell into total silence. Leary whispered, then, it will be too late. No one laughed now. No one smiled. Even the Grand Chancellor sat quietly, staring at the sky. Because now, they all saw the shadow. And for the first time, they understood. The council chamber was quiet. The shadow had passed, but the fear stayed. No one spoke. No one moved. Even the Grand Chancellor of the Galactic Council, who always looked confident, stared blankly ahead. His hands trembled slightly. The room, once filled with proud voices and fake smiles, now felt cold and small. Leary still stood at the center, the cube in his hand. "They're not hiding," he said softly. "They're warning us." Someone finally broke the silence. A voice from the back, an ambassador from the Bravik system. "But why not join the summit? Why not speak to us like everyone else?" Leary turned toward him. "Because they already know how these talks end. You debate, you delay, you make treaties, then break them later. Earth doesn't play that game." A Zilari general stood. "And if we refuse to be ruled by fear, what if we fight?" The lights flickered again. This time the entire chamber fell dark for 3 full seconds. When they came back on, everyone was standing. Leary raised his voice. "You still don't get it. They don't want to rule, they don't want control, they just want silence, real peace. And they'll do anything to keep it." A soft voice echoed from behind the council stage. It didn't belong to anyone on the delegate list. "I warned him," the voice said. Everyone turned. A human walked out of the shadows. He wore a plain black suit, no badge, no name. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp, like he could see straight through lies. It was the same man Leary had seen before, the same voice from the dark ship. He walked slowly into the center of the chamber and stood beside Leary. "You told them?" the man asked him. Leary nodded. "They needed to know." The human turned to the others. "You think our chair is empty?" he said. "It's not. It's a signal. We're not here to talk. We're here to listen, to watch. And when someone forgets what peace costs, we remind them." A Drexari delegate stepped forward. "Threats don't scare us." The human didn't blink. "That's why the Drexari Empire doesn't exist anymore." The room went dead silent. The Drexari froze. "That's a lie. We chose peace." The human smiled faintly. "You chose silence after we erased your fleet and replaced your leadership." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Someone whispered, "They replaced leaders?" Leary felt his chest tighten. It was worse than he thought. The human spoke again, this time louder. "We have never started a war, but we end them, quietly, completely, and without discussion." He looked directly at the Grand Chancellor. "Do you want that kind of end?" The Chancellor shook his head slowly. "No, but this isn't peace. This is fear." The human stepped forward. "Fear keeps peace better than hope. Hope forgets. Fear remembers." Then, without another word, he turned and began to walk out of the chamber. Before he left, he looked at Leary and said only one thing. "Thank you for telling the truth, but don't expect thanks." He vanished behind the stage. Everyone remained still for a long time. Finally, the Chancellor spoke. "This summit is over. Dismissed." No one cheered. No one clapped. The delegates left the chamber in silence. Later that night, Leary sat alone in the garden wing of the station. The stars were bright, but they no longer looked friendly. They looked watched. Karn found him there. "You did it," Karn said. "You made them see." Leary shook his head. "I didn't show them anything. Earth did." Karn sat beside him. Still, they needed someone brave enough to speak. Leary looked down at the cube in his hand. "What now? What happens next?" Karn sighed. "Now, we pretend again. Everyone will go home and act like nothing happened. That's how the council works." "But they saw it," Leary said. "They felt it." "They'll try to forget," Karn replied. "It's safer that way. The only thing worse than being watched is realizing you never saw the watchers, until it was too late." Leary looked out at the stars again. One small shadow moved between them, just for a second. He didn't need a scanner to know what it was. They were still out there, still listening, still ready. Earth's military didn't need to attend peace talks, because peace was already under their control. And in space, silence speaks louder than words. The summit ended without a celebration. No farewell speeches, no closing dinner, no fireworks. The diplomats simply left, quietly. One by one, their ships undocked from the station and vanished into the stars. No one joked, no one argued. The silence from Earth had left something behind. Fear. Leary stayed. He walked the empty halls of the summit station, where only cleaning bots moved now. The big banners still hung from the ceiling, unity, peace, hope, but they felt like lies, or maybe warnings. He sat once more in the grand chamber, across from Earth's empty chair. It still waited, still silent, still powerful. The door behind him opened. He turned slowly. Karn walked in, his expression tired, older than before. "They all left," Leary said. Karn nodded. "None wanted to stay. No one wants to talk about what we saw." Leary leaned back in his chair. "That's what Earth counts on." "Yes," Karn said. "And they're right to. The moment we speak too much, they act." There was a long silence between them. Then Karn said something strange. "Do you know what I heard before the Drexari Empire fell?" Leary shook his head. Karn leaned in. "Nothing. That's the point. One day they sent threats to Earth. The next day, silence. No ships. No leaders. Just silence." He paused, like a breath held forever. Leary looked toward the stars beyond, the glass wall. So this is how it ends. Not with a war, but with a whisper. Karn stood. "You think this is the end, young one?" Leary raised an eyebrow. "Isn't it?" Karn shook his head. "No, this is only the beginning. Now the galaxy must choose. Keep pretending Earth is just quiet, or finally admit they control more than we ever realized." Leary stood beside him. "What will you do?" Karn sighed. "I'll disappear. I've said too much already. But you should remember." Leary watched as Karn turned and left. The door shut behind him. He was alone again. But not really. He knew Earth was still here, listening. 2 weeks later, back on his home planet, Leary stood before his World Security Council. They had called him to report on the summit. He gave them the full truth, not just the political updates, but what he saw. The graveyard, the human shadow ship, the message, "We're always here." They laughed. His own leaders laughed at him. "You've been away too long, Leary," one said. "Scared by shadows." Another shook his head. "There is no proof Earth did anything. No records, just stories." Leary stood silently as they dismissed him. Just like the council. Just like the others. But he saw it clearly now. Earth didn't need anyone to believe. That was their greatest weapon. When people stop believing a threat exists, it becomes more dangerous. He left the meeting and walked through the city. Tall buildings, busy streets, bright screens showing news, fashion, entertainment. Everyone was happy. No one knew they were being watched. No one knew the silence could break. And when it did, nothing would survive it. Far above the planet, hidden, in orbit, a dark object floated, unseen by sensors, unregistered on maps. A small black ship, no lights. No markings, no noise. Inside, a single human watched the planet below. He pressed a button. A report appeared on his screen. Leary, watch-listed status, truth spreader. Threat level, moderate action, none, observation only. He closed the file. Another human voice came through his earpiece. "Any action required?" He replied calmly. "No, the silence holds. For now." Then he leaned back in the chair and looked out at the stars. They didn't need to fire weapons, they didn't need to show their armies. They only needed one thing, to be the thing the galaxy was too afraid to speak about. Because as long as Earth's chair stayed empty, as long as no one could explain why, as long as fear replaced memory, humanity would never be challenged again, and the silence would keep spreading, one summit at a time, one planet at a time, one whisper at a time, forever.